A very good evening, everyone. So today's session is going to be about the approach to learning standards. We all as teachers might have come across academic standards while we were doing our bachelor's degree in education. Though we haven't done, even if we are non-B.Ed teachers, definitely we might have heard this term in our day-to-day life several times in the school. So after NCF has been published, after we have received NCF 2023 from the Department of Education, that is from the Government of India, we have seen the first and second chapters. In the first chapter, the educators have clearly mentioned what are the aims of school education and what is the purpose of sending the child to school for 12 long years, 12 or 15 long years. And then in the second chapter, we have seen the division of stages at school level. That is foundation stage, preparatory stage, middle stage, and secondary stage. In this stages, what are the mental, physical developments that children undergo? All these things we have explored. Now, chapter 3 is exclusively about approach to learning standards, content, pedagogy, and assessment across all these 4 stages. Today's session is going to be only about approach to learning standards. So before getting into content, pedagogy, and assessment, there are certain definitions which we all have to understand as educators. One thing which we all should always remember is that as a doctor has got his medical terminology, like a lawyer has got his own terminology, constitutional terminology, a teacher has also got lots of terms which he or she uses in his day-to-day life. Remember one thing, as professionals, we cannot move away or keep using these terms, away from our life. So today we are going to explore those terms and also certain learning standards which we all should be aware of. So with this note, let us start today's session. As I told you, these are the things which we have explored in the earlier chapters of NCF. Now, section 3.1 is approach to standards. When we speak about education, a very important thing that we have to remember is education is a process. At the same time, it is also an outcome. Education is nothing but creating experiences for children throughout the 12 or 15 years of time. And what is the outcome that we achieve from the child after completing this whole process? That is also termed as education. So education is both. And when we view at education as an achievement, we think about a student's achievement of the desirable knowledge, capacities, values, and dispositions as derived from the aims of school educations. So we have seen what type of knowledge is needed for the children, what capacities the children have to develop, and what type of values and morals the children have to develop, okay, in the earlier chapters. So apart from all these standards, the child has to also achieve these things. And when we speak about stakeholders are nothing but the organizations. Okay, so this chapter gives a very clear picture to all the organizations and the heads of the organization as to what the school has to achieve. Okay, the child is coming to you for these many long years. So what the child should achieve by the end of completing his complete education, that is by the time he comes out of 12th grade, what the child has to achieve. This clarity of purpose of education is very much necessary for the organizations as well as teachers, because at the end of the day, it is not the academic director who is going to walk into the class and take the class. As we say, NCF is for the teachers. Okay, this purpose of education is something that all the teachers should be aware of. So in this section, Okay, we are going to, like explore certain terms, okay, that we should all be aware of as educators. First and foremost thing, what is aim of school education? Aims are educational vision statements that give broad direction to all deliberate efforts of educational systems. It can be curriculum development, institutional arrangements, funding and financing, people's capacity, and so on. So the vision of aims of education is a very broad thing. Okay, it is not just speaking about only the child, but for having a complete persona, a matured persona, what type of curriculum development is needed, what type of arrangements are needed in the institutions, how much of funding is necessary, and all these things are being discussed. What role has the society got to play? All these things are being discussed. Aims of school education are usually directed by educational policy documents. For example, NEP 2020 states that the purpose of education system is to develop good human beings capable of rational thoughts and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper and creative imagination with sound ethical moorings and values. So, what tells us the aims of school education is the National Education Policy 2020. So, it is telling that we have to develop good human beings as teachers. And what these good human beings have to possess, they have to possess rational thought and action. I would like to repeat this. When we speak about rational thought and action, it is keeping emotions aside and working as per the like reasons that we have got. Children have to closely observe what is happening, and accordingly they have to take decisions in their life. Apart from that, students should also possess compassion and empathy towards other beings of this world, and also courage. Apart from that, resilience. Resilience means to have the guts to undergo everything, however worse your life is, and withstand each and everything. Scientific temper and creative imagination. Apart from this, sound ethical moorings, like every child should possess certain ethics and values in his or her life. So these are the aims that are quoted by NEP 2020. It also aims at producing engaged, productive, and contributing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society as envisaged by our constitution. So, what type of people are needed for the country? The people who engage in what? They have to engage in political, they have to engage in economical and cultural factors of the country. Such sort of students or such sort of individuals are necessary for the country. Apart from that, we need an inclusive nation wherein people get opportunities irrespective of caste, creed, gender, religion, sex, and sexuality. Also, we have seen how NCF is these days trying to, like include, follow the policy of inclusive in different, genders also, in the case of different genders also. Okay, and plural society. Plural society is nothing but wherein people have tolerance towards the diversity of the country. So these are the aims of school education that are articulated in this chapter. Moving on, what are curricular goals? So curricular goals are statements that give directions to curriculum development and implementation. Based upon these goals only, the educators as well as different organizations in states and at central level, they are going to develop the curriculum for the upcoming batches of the students. They are all derived from aims. These curricular goals are derived from the aims, which are quoted just before. Okay. And they are specific to stage. It is not that we expect an LKG child, okay, to recite a poem on, being ethical or being, what do we say, like compassionate towards others. As per the stage, we are supposed to, give necessary molding to the children as per the aims that have been quoted. So national curriculum frameworks which guide the development of all curricula state the curricular goals. For example, in this NCF, children develop effective communication skills for day-to-day interactions in 2 languages. Is a curricular goal for foundational stage. So this is one curricular goal that has been mentioned here. In this way, as per the stage, we will be having different curricular goals. What are competencies? Competencies are nothing but the learning achievements that are observable, which means we can see the achievements in the child and can be assessed systematically. These competencies can also be assessed by the teacher. They are derived from the curricular goals. So if we observe very clearly, we have a set of aims given by the policy. The curricular goals are derived from these aims. Okay, these competencies are derived from the curricular goals. So in this way, each and everything is interdependent upon the other. Competencies are articulated in curriculum frameworks. However, curriculum developers can adapt and modify the competencies to address specific contents for which the curriculum is being developed. The NCF is giving the leverage and NCF is also giving the liberty to the teachers because teachers work closely with the students. Okay, they can think and rethink upon these competencies and they can do certain changes here and there. It's not a complete change, but teachers, as per the children that they're teaching in the class, teachers can adopt different sorts of competencies also. So this is about competency. Next, learning outcomes. As teachers, we all know learning outcomes and learning objectives. We all might have written this several times in our lesson plans as well. See, competencies are achieved over a period of time. Like if a child is joining in the school in LKG or in nursery or pre-nursery, we cannot think that the child will achieve all the competencies in that particular year itself. There are several years lying further for the child to reach the necessary competencies and learning, academic standards also. But still, there should be some, lantern for the teachers to hold and move on with a goal. That lantern is nothing but learning outcomes. So if teacher basically have proper learning outcomes, prescribed for himself, okay, achieving competencies will become easier. These learning outcomes are again dependent upon competencies. So teachers should remember competencies that are to be achieved by the children in their mind, and then they have to frame their learning outcomes while developing their lesson plans. So here they have exemplified few competencies from the children who are in between age 3 to 8. We can closely observe certain competencies. The main competency here is converses fluently and can hold a meaningful conversation. So it is going from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ages. So at an age of 3, the child will listen attentively and speak in short conversation with familiar people around. He also expresses their needs and feelings through short, meaningful sentences. When he reaches age 4, he should be able to initiate conversation in daily life with peers and teachers in variety of school settings. He should also be able to narrate daily experiences in simple sentence and ask simple questions using what, when, how, whom, etc. So these are the competencies and below given are the learning outcomes for them. In this way, NCF, in the further chapters, we can see that NCF has already prepared a set of competencies for all the teachers to keep in their mind before they build upon their learning outcomes. So this was all about competencies and learning outcomes. Now, let us see how we have to move from aims to learning outcomes. So this NCF is strongly emphasizing upon the importance of clear flow down from aims to the end. Okay. From aims to curricular goals to competencies to learning outcomes. So this is the structure which we are going to see in this session. So each set must emanate from the immediately higher level while ensuring full coverage of the objectives at the immediately higher level. It is very much important for the teacher that he or she will strive hard to achieve the aims, curricular goals, competencies, and learning outcomes without fail. We should always remember that it's a stepwise process, like our Bloom's taxonomy. Aims come first. From the aims, we will derive our curricular goals, and from curricular goals, we will derive our competencies, and from competencies, we will derive our learning outcomes. So there is this, the chapter is a bit abstract, but we have to closely read, understand, and then process it so that we can understand the alignment of these four things. As per the aims, as per the curricular goals and competencies and learning outcome, pedagogical practices have to be developed by the teachers. Okay. It's properly aligned syllabus and content has to be developed by the teachers. And the very important thing is the culture of institution also plays a very significant role in this thing. See, the everyday life of a teacher and institution is making, they are taking lots of efforts as to build upon the very good future and bright future of the child. But what we have to remember is there are certain set of goals that we have to achieve. Those are the curricular goals. We should always remember our curricular goals and go as per the curricular goals. So NEP 2020 also has clearly stated that necessary competencies at that particular age level has to be achieved by the students. So states and central government as well as teachers and many other organizations, they shall work closely in developing a proper curriculum for the students as to achieve these things. Now, from aims to curricular goals, there are certain aims which are articulated by NCF. In chapter 1, I request everyone to go and read chapter 1 of NCF. Okay. It has also quoted the nature of knowledge and how that has to be relevant to the curricular area. Apart from all these things, one thing that we have to very closely remember, keenly remember is that every stage, that is the foundation stage, the preparatory stage, the middle stage, and the secondary stage, the, what do we say, like curricular goals and the competencies, they increase one after the other. It is not same for all the, what do we say, age groups. So we have to follow the appropriate pedagogy, okay, to achieve the competencies in these stages. The aims of school education are articulated in chapter 2 are an important source for deriving the curricular goals. So the curricular goals are to be arrived at from the desirable knowledge, capacities and values and dispositions that are relevant to the curricular area, which would contribute to achieving the aims. So how can we achieve the aims of NCF is by giving necessary knowledge to the children. And they have also mentioned how children can gain knowledge, the capacities which the child has to develop, values and dispositions relevant to that particular competency. So we have to keep all these things in mind while we are developing our pedagogy. And next, we have come from aims to curricular goals. Now we are moving from curricular goals to competencies. The four main sources for arriving at the list of competencies are curricular goals, current research literature appropriate for the stage and curricular area that informs, experience in various educational efforts in the country. Our context includes resource availability, time availability, institutional and teacher capacities. Each stage has its own consideration regarding children's development and concept development. We have seen this in earlier chapter also. The concept development is being what do we say, very the concept development is affected by different things that happen around the child, physically, mentally, as well as the development that happens, the child's development that happens in the body. So all these things, these competencies should be matching this development, stage-wise development of the child. All the organizations have to be, like aware of these competencies. We have to work on the competencies very clearly. In the upcoming sessions, we are going to see what these competencies are. And they have to make sure that in lesson plans, these competencies are included, like the competency of that particular class. And in every lesson, we have to see the development of the child, whether the child is able to reach this competency. That's how it is. And moving from competencies to learning outcomes, as we said, learning outcomes are based upon competencies. Okay, they help us in attaining the competencies. The learning outcomes are like a bridge between the teacher and the competencies which the teacher have to make the child achieve by the end of the year. So these learning outcomes are defined based on the specifics of socio-cultural contexts also, the materials and resources available, and contingencies of classroom. So it is not only the teacher who is playing a significant role, but the society is playing a significant role in the development of the child. Apart from that, the family is playing a significant role in the development of the child. The availability of material, the availability of resources, and the classroom structure, school culture, all these things also play a very important role in achieving the learning outcomes set by the teacher. So a set of illustrative learning outcomes have been defined in NCF, which we are going to see in the further chapters. Okay, which basically our scientists and research scholars, they have developed based upon the underlying understanding of the education system. Okay, so the learning outcomes are basically guidelines for teachers and school leaders. Okay, there is no particular, hard and fast rule, but then there are, like certain things which would fill the gaps between the understanding of the teacher about the child and whether he is achieving the competencies or not. So this was all about this session. So is any repetition needed, or is there any doubt in this particular, what do we say, like session that we have come across?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, competency age 3 to 8 converses fluently and can hold a meaningful conversation. In that term, I just want to note it down the another point, sir. Aims to curricular goals. Aims of school education as articulated in NCF. Another point were there, so I just wanted to note it down. It's
Just a second, ma'am. Is this the one?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir. Back previous one. Yes, sir. That one white. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, can you please zoom it, sir? Fine, sir. Fine, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, teachers, with regard to this particular session? See, one thing which we have to remember is that NCF has to be very clearly understood. Like we have to read the NCF. That is the reason why we are holding this session actually. To make sure that the people who are unable to read, like they are busy and all, they can, come across NCF and the suggestions given by NCF through these sessions. So, yeah, so this was a small session. So the whole NCF will be put in small sessions so that you people can attend the session and you can work upon it. Any doubts with regard to this session?
No, sir.
Yeah. So this was the session actually. Yeah, so let us recapitulate the session once again. It was all about basic 4 things. First thing is the aims of school education. The aims of school education are quoted in chapter 1. what sort of individuals that we have to, mold them as by the time they finish their 12th grade. Apart from that, from aims, we have derived the curricular goals. Okay. And how, based upon the aims, how we have to develop a proper curriculum for the students, and how stakeholders and how teachers and the other organizations and state boards can work together for developing this curricular, curriculum and syllabi to achieve the aims as quoted in NCF. And from curricular goals, we have gone to competencies. Competencies are very important, and NCF in the further chapters, it is mentioning the necessary competencies to be achieved by the students as per the subjects, as per the stages also. Right from grade 1 to right from grade 1 to grade 12, in every class, what competency the child should achieve in each and every subject, it is going to be mentioned. We will be observing in those sessions, in the further sessions. And then from competencies, we have moved on to learning outcomes. Always remember, learning outcomes are the guidelines for the teachers, okay, to reach the competencies. So it is basically a circular, I won't say circular movement, but I will say definitely a ladder that the teacher should climb. The teacher should start from learning outcomes. Through learning outcomes, the teacher will try to take the student to achieve the competencies. And from competencies, the teacher will make sure that the curricular goals are achieved. And when the curricular goals are achieved, the aims of NEP or National Curriculum Framework has been achieved. This is how it is. So it is like decoding and encoding, to tell in the, what do we say, new terms, if I have to say. It is like decoding and encoding. So we have to remember these 4 things. The whole session was about only these 4 things: the aims of school education, curricular goals, competencies, and finally the learning outcomes. That was it, teachers. Anything else? I thought there will be lots of doubts in this session.
Yeah, good evening, sir. I just have a doubt.
Yes,
can
ma'am.
you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You were talking about the competencies.
Mm.
Here, what I would like to say, if it is also about the national curriculum framework, the thing is that here, every time as teachers, everything bounces on the teachers, right? Like everything question comes back to the teachers for every, like we are answerable for everything. But here in this one case, like during the COVID time, children were finding it very difficult about their learning. So in this case, like those children, those who had crossed their COVID period and they had come to school, so some of the children, they really finding it very difficult. For example,
Basics,
those who
they
came from
couldn't get proper basics, actually.
grade 1 to grade 2. So in such cases, it is very difficult for the teacher to teach even the words or phonics or whatever it is, because in grade 2 we are only going as per the topics. So in this case, how can we teachers find time to develop the competences of the child? How is it possible, sir? Because here only we can just guide the parent, because in class we have a very little time of our period, and then as per we have the syllabus, we have everything to be fulfilled within the time limit that the school is giving to the teacher. So but as for the child, it is very difficult because the child is not able to understand. So how can this be solved, sir?
So that is the thing, we have been discussing since chapter 1 in NCF, that it is not only the teacher who plays a significant role, but also the society. When we say society, it is not just the parents, it is also neighbors, it is also the stakeholders and everyone, ma'am.
But that is correct. But for the child to get the things learned, for example, even writing the word, copying into the book, the child is not able to understand. But if the child keeps on moving like this, what will be her future? Like
What do we say? Once we identify the students with these problems, ma'am, proper remediation has to be given. That's the reason what
Yeah.
NCF is saying is, in the first chapter we have seen, the very first point mentioned in first chapter of NCF is like we are going to give away these rote learning methods and we are going to cut the syllabus down. If we see
Yeah,
in this particular year itself, in 9th grade, I am teaching in 9th grade, 2 or 3 chapters have been removed.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
how
sir.
it is. So there is no hard and fast rule, ma'am. It is not that we have to achieve all these aims as quoted by NCF in the very next year. They have given us time till 2030. Okay, it will go further also. I should say that there was an NCF in 2005. Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
So how many
Yes, sir.
of us were aware about NCF 2005? Hardly few people, hardly few teachers. Isn't it? So by the time, as we have got a very good plan, one good thing that COVID has done is we have got introduced to this online method of learning. As teachers, we are able to get trained. Okay. So now most of us, we are trying to know about educational policies and we are trying to put them in our day-to-day teaching, learning, what do we say, activities, isn't it? So time beingly, the changes are inevitable. Okay. Time beingly, the change will occur. So parents also will change. But it is our responsibility at times that teachers also should become counselors. You need not worry, ma'am. Things will be fine. If you observe that children are lacking basic knowledge, then you have to suggest or prescribe what do we say, necessary remediation to them.
Yeah, on this topic, what we are discussing now, already this was told to the parent, but the reply that I got from the parent is the child doesn't feel like studying, doesn't sit with the parent. So all such kind of excuses. So in such cases, teacher is also like, don't know what kind, what can we really do for the child? Because as a parent, they have more time at home. Even the weekends they have time, but they have to work. But
Yeah.
the child is not ready to
See,
sit
yeah,
with the
if
parent.
so see, they are not educators at the end of the day, isn't it, ma'am? We are educators. It is we are blessed. We are blessed to become educators. So what we can do is we can take, like when we say a child has to become compassionate, an individual, see how much compassionate should the teacher become? If a teacher has to mold 40 students to become compassionate and empathetic towards other individuals, how much compassionate and empathetic should a teacher become? So definitely, like we are nothing but the inland soldiers. Like we are within the country and we are fighting with many other people for the good of the student, isn't it? So we can do one thing, we can reach out to principal and arrange special remediation classes within the timetable itself. Okay. And then we can give remediation to the children. Only thing which you can do is give remediation to the children who are unable to reach the necessary learning standards or academic standards.
Also, there is also like we also have so many other things, sir. It is like from the basic, the child has not got anything. But from my point of view, why is this particular teacher to put more stress for this? Because when the basics have not been corrected.
So don't
because
you,
we are
your
for,
school doesn't have any criteria while taking the children, ma'am? They take, they don't even see
no,
like.
this is the, yeah, of course they do see, but this is the children that have come from outside. This outside admission, we do take children from outside. So
No,
maybe
that is the
like
problem
only,
of the school, ma'am. So you cannot do anything. What I can suggest you is you write to your principal. Either you can write a letter. What is the problem that you are facing? So certain times when we speak directly, okay, what happens is maybe they think that we are being emotional and we are speaking. But when we are giving something in written, this is the problem I am facing. So principal, at the end of the day, it is principal's responsibility to guide the teachers. Principal is your mentor, isn't it? So principal has to take a call. If there is a child who is struggling, okay, and if there is a teacher coming to you and teacher is explaining this is the problem, you have to guide me, then definitely principal has to take a call on it. So this is what I can tell in this.
Thank you so much. No
Yeah,
problem. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Better you approach your principal with regard to and be open. What is the problem that you're facing? That's it.
Good evening,
Yes, sir.
Ravikant, sir.
Yes, sir.
when we say about curricular goals, so is it about all domains of development of child?
Very good. It's a very good question. Like it is about all domains and all stages of development of the child. For example, in grade
Only
one, the
child.
child, 1 second. In grade one, for example, we are giving 5 or 6 subjects, isn't it? So as per the age of the child, the necessary goals to be achieved by the child by that end of the year has been derived. This is what curricular goals are. The same way it goes from grade 1 to grade 12. In that particular subject, a 7th grade child, what are the standards he has to achieve? Okay. In math, what are the standards that he has to achieve? In science, what are the standards he has to achieve? In this way, right from grade 1 to grade 12. Okay, for every subject, they are giving us the curricular goals. So teachers have to keep these curricular goals and competencies to be achieved by the child in their mind. And then we have to make our learning outcomes. Few learning outcomes will be given by NCF also. Basic learning
so
outcomes.
So it will include that Bloom's taxonomy, this cognitive development, affective development, and psychomotor development.
When they are giving us the curricular goals, they are integrating Bloom's taxonomy also into that. Because this time what NCF has done is stage wise. Okay. Foundational, preparatory, middle school. Okay. Stage wise, they have derived the curricular goals. As per that only, the NCF has designed it. But if needed, if you want to refer and if you want to add something to it, you are free to do that as an educator.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anything else, teachers? Anything else, teachers? Any doubts or any feedback which you people would like to give? That would be really great.
No doubts, sir. So in coming days, we are looking forward of this type of sessions with more of pedagogy, where we can understand more the child's mind, state of mind, everything. So that with that curriculum, we can help the child to.
All the upcoming sessions, we are covering the whole NCF, ma'am. That's the reason we have been doing right from chapter 1. So we are breaking it as chapters. We are breaking it as sessions. So when we, we cannot give, the complete food cannot be given to the, mouth at a time,
Yes,
isn't
sir,
it?
yes, sir.
So we are breaking it so that teachers can process it. Like now you have seen what are curricular goals, how this aims, curricular goals, competencies and learning outcomes are dependent upon each other. Isn't it? How they are very much important how together they have to go. Now this is feeded in your mind and you have got this knowledge. Next session will be a bit above this, developing the content and then developing the pedagogy after that. And then we will go with assessment also. So it is 4 stages that we are going to cover. Okay, so what happens is it will become easy for us to understand, process it, keep it in our mind and use in our classrooms.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Well explained, sir. Thank you very much for the session, sir.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, good evening.
Yes, sir.
Sir, myself, Dr. R.N. Lenka. Actually, I am a new member to this team, sir.
Okay.
If I can have some questions, sir, regarding this joining, sir.
Yeah. Please, sir. How may I help you?
I am a national resource person on pedagogy, quality, and innovation, sir.
Okay.
I have served in the Ministry of HRD as well as Ministry of Education for a long time, sir.
Great, sir. Great.
Developing, drafting also some policies of Government of India and also content, curriculum, pedagogy, and teacher training part as well.
Great.
Actually, I want to contribute to some of my experience with this team, sir. Just guide me, sir, please. How can I do that. I just
Sir, you can
joined
reach
yesterday,
out.
sir.
Yes, you can reach out to Matthew, sir. You might have been
I have
into.
interacted with him, sir. I have interacted and I have taken the membership as well. Just I want to just clarify myself whether the links and all other things are from your side or from the management side, sir, Matthew sir side.
It is from
Creating the link and sharing with the participants.
No. It is from our side only, but you will be having approvals. Like you have to discuss with Matthew sir prior in hand what topic you are taking, all such sort of things, and after his approval, you will be sharing in the groups. Sir will be sharing in the groups. That's how it is.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Fine. Anything else, teachers?
Excuse me, sir, I joined late. I have small doubt.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
NCF is implemented for current 9th and 11th or next year 9th and 11th students?
See, NCF is not, NCF is a, like a framework of different policies or different steps that are to be taken by the teachers. Okay, with regard to the whole curriculum and experience of the students, educational experience of the students. So the things which are mentioned here, especially with regard to exams and all, we will be getting GO. Till now, we don't have any GO, what is going to happen and when it is going to happen. Only mouth publicity is happening among the teachers. Anything with regard to the examination of the students, maybe it is having board exam or not, all such stuff will be coming from the COE of your particular, like area, like Chennai COE or whichever COE it is. GO. We will be getting circulars. The principal, your own principal will inform you.
Sir, when we say learning standards, are we referring to competencies?
Learning standards are all four together. You have to refer to aims of education. Then from aims of education, you have to derive your curricular goals. After deriving the curricular goals, you have to go through your competencies to be achieved by the child. After the competencies, you have to frame your learning outcomes to achieve these competencies. Okay, in this way, when you integrate all four together, okay, we are calling it as learning standards. Okay, sir? Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? So I hope we are done for today. Thank you one and all for joining the session. We'll be having further chapters and further, topics related to NCF also. And then the people who want a certificate for this session, Matthew sir will be sharing the link of the certificate in the group. You have to do the payment of 21 rupees. Do not send to my account because I cannot give any certificate. Matthew sir will only be sharing the link. If you don't get any link, if you are not into the webinar group, you can just ping to Matthew sir. He will be helping you in getting a certificate. Thank you one and all. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Once again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, can we get the YouTube video link for this? Because I missed a few points.
Yeah, once I upload, I shall definitely try to share it with you, ma'am.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.